The clock that ran too fast. Once upon a time, there was a man who lived obsessed with time, not with days, not with seasons, not with memories, with the clock. From the moment he woke up, the first thing he did was look at it, not to be grateful for a new sunrise, but to calculate how much he had to do. He ate fast, he walked fast, he spoke fast, he lived fast. He always said the same phrase, "I don't have time." His wife spoke to him, and he answered while looking at the hour. His son wanted to show him a drawing, and he said later. His mother called him, and he promised to visit her when he had some time. But that time never came. At his office he was admired, efficient, productive, punctual. His schedules were full, but his heart was empty. One day, while rushing to work, he walked past a small antique shop. He had never noticed it before. But that day something caught his attention. In the display window there was an old clock. Beautiful, different. It had no numbers, only a phrase engraved, "Moments do not return." He didn't understand why, but he felt the need to go inside. The old man who owned the shop looked at him in silence, as if he already knew him. "That clock is not for sale," said the old man. "Then why is it on display?" the man asked. "Because it is waiting for the one who needs it." The man smiled hurriedly. "I don't need clocks. I have many." "No," replied the old man. "You have measured time, but not lived time." The phrase made him uncomfortable. Even so, he bought the clock. Without knowing why, he placed it in his house in front of his desk. Soon he noticed something strange. The clock did not mark normal hours. Sometimes it moved fast. Other times it stopped. One night, while working on his computer, he looked at the clock and saw its hands spinning wildly. Annoyed, he stood up. But then he heard laughter. He turned around. It was his son, younger, playing with blocks in the living room. The scene looked like the past. Confused, he blinked, and the image disappeared. The clock moved again. Then it stopped once more, and his wife appeared, years earlier, waiting for him at the table with the dinner growing cold. Again. It vanished. The man began to feel uneasy. Every time the clock sped up, he saw moments of his life he had lived, but never truly felt. His mother waiting at the door, his son in a school play he never attended, his wife crying silently one night. He chose work instead. They were not dreams, they were forgotten memories. The clock did not measure hours, it measured absences. Days later he received a call. His mother had fallen ill, gravely. He ran to the hospital, but arrived too late. When he entered the room, the clock on his wrist began spinning violently, as if trying to go back, but it couldn't. He approached the bed, took his mother's hand, still warm, and for the first time he didn't look at the hour. He looked at the moment. Tears fell without hurry. There he understood what the clock had been trying to tell him. It wasn't running fast. His life was. From that day on, everything changed. He began arriving home early, listening without looking at his phone, sitting in silence with his wife, asking his son how he felt, not what he had done. He discovered something he had never learned. Time is not managed, it is honored. One Sunday he placed the antique clock in a box, not because he no longer needed it, but because he had understood its message. Before closing it, he read another phrase, engraved on the back he had never noticed. "Hori steals the life that never returns." He smiled with nostalgia, because now he knew. The most important moments were never in his schedule. They were in front of him, waiting to be lived. Reflection. We live looking at the hour, but not at life. We run to achieve, to produce, to reach goals, but we forget there are hugs that cannot wait, words that do not return, people who one day will no longer be there. Time is not the enemy. Hurry is, because hurry makes us arrive everywhere, except where it truly matters. What is the point of gaining the world if we lose the moments that give it meaning? Today, pause. Listen more slowly. Hug more tightly. Look into eyes without a clock, because life is not measured in hours. It is measured in memories. Final message. If this story touched your heart, if it made you think of someone, if it reminded you that time is a gift, I invite you to stay in this community, subscribe, and help me grow this beautiful community where every story seeks to heal, inspire reflection, and bring us closer to God and to the true meaning of life, because we are still in time to live what truly matters.